Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterlands universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode. This week, you are sitting down listening to just Hep and I kind of talk through State of the Union stuff. We've got a little bit of things on the docket to discuss for today. But as you guys are well aware, it's been a little bit of a slow last couple of weeks. We've seen some big changes in the way that the company is doing things, namely bi-weekly or bi-monthly town halls, moving into a world where we've got on alternative weeks, we've got community town halls, community open forums, open discussions. I think we've got the first one coming up next week. I'm anxious to see if that catches the spiral of negativity and we get back to a world where we're back to weekly town halls as a result. But yeah, hopefully we've got some good stuff coming out of that. We've seen some big moves with some big name players, namely Schnapoon, Gene Pool, Holazor. I've heard Vet V's name going around in terms of big fish, big whales that are making moves to kind of lighten their asset load within the game or exit entirely. Recent town hall, we discovered that land 1.5 is 50% to delivery, but we did just see Aggie mention we're a couple of sprints from the deliverance of land 1.5. So maybe a little bit of silver lining there. But yeah, thanks for hopping on with us today and hope you enjoy the show. Hep, what are you thinking, man? What's going on in your brain with all things stale in the world of Splinterlands at the moment?
Hey, man. Yeah. What I would ask you, what's going on with you? I saw, in Discord the other day, you said you haven't been playing too much, haven't been doing too many tournaments or anything apart from brawls. So yeah, kind of what's the reason behind that? How come you've kind of been stepped back a little bit?
Primarily, I want to credit the brilliant minds at Nintendo for their delivery of Tears of the Kingdom. It came at a perfect time. Yeah, wonderful game. If you guys haven't touched it, I highly suggest investing a significant chunk of hours into Tears of the Kingdom while we are waiting for things like land 1.5 and among other things. But yeah, I was just kind of feeling a little bit burned out with ranked. I do allow for Xbot to manage most of my ranked play, but if I've got the time, I'll hop in and play the occasional string of a handful of battles. But I just felt like I was running into a whole bunch of the Xbot stuff, and playing bots is not fun. I say that while I employ a bot on my own, but yeah, my preference would be a world without the battle automation, and that's just kind of sucked the fun out of ranked largely. And then tournaments, it just feels like the tournament space is dominated by the battle helper stuff, which again kind of sucks the fun out of it. So yeah, it just felt like a good natural time to kind of catch a breath of fresh air with other games, other forms of entertainment, and it just so happened that it lined up with Breath of the Wild. So I've fully embraced my Nintendo Switch, dusted off the old Nintendo sticks, and yeah, I've invested a good chunk of hours the last few weeks into Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
What about you, man? How are you feeling with that? Say again.
Oh, I said I can't wait to get into Tears in the Kingdom. I definitely want to get into it. I plan on doing it soon. Another game I wanted to check out of here, it's a lot of fun, is Jedi Survivor. I don't know. Have you heard of that? Have you seen that at all?
Never heard of it. Never seen it. Is that Switch game, PC
I
game?
think I don't know if they have it on Switch. I think I know it's PC. I think it's like Xbox and PlayStation as well. Um, I think so. I think it's not just on PC. I heard someone talk about it on a podcast the other day, and it sounded like a lot of fun. I kind of like it's kind of like an open world style Jedi game. I'm into those. Um, I like those games a lot. The last one they had, I forget what the last one I played. I didn't like it because it was more of like a puzzle game. Um, than
You mean a Star Wars game? Is that
yeah,
what you're referring to?
It was a Star Wars game. Now I forget what it's called. This is great podcasting here by me. I bring up a topic and I don't even know what I'm talking about. But it was less of like a smash and lightsaber and force power thing, and more of like solving, sort of like using that stuff, but then more to solve puzzles. Like in game, more of like almost like a Tomb Raider style um thing than
Throwback
something
reference there. Yep. Tomb
Battlefront.
Raider.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So yeah, I think Jedi Survivor seems like it's more of a return to you're running around more of a hack and slash. Oh, Fallen Order. Okay, yeah, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was the last one I played, which I didn't think was a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Star Wars games. I like Battlefront a lot. But yeah, so hopefully maybe check that out. But yeah, rank play it's been tough. I feel like my theory on it is that the number of the cheaper bots, big bot farms that were maybe running custom code or maybe running, codes that weren't as good as Xbox or Archmage. Maybe they're not in the game anymore, and then more people are using like Xbox and Archmage, and they're tough. It's tough with the 3 rule sets. I mean, I was on here before and said it more than once since then. When that 3 rule set came out, it was like this is going to really help the bots. It's just a lot to, especially if you sit down, you're really focused. I don't get to play like that much anymore. Playing a few games here and there, at night. I got the new baby, so a lot of my games are played on my phone with a screaming infant in one arm and setting my teams on my phone the other arm. And so
that's
many times
4 rule sets, bro. That's 4 rule sets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like, let's see the bots handle that. I'll like even like completely forget one of the rule sets. I think on my phone, because I don't use the mobile version, I just use the web browser app, and I have to turn it to landscape mode to see the 3rd rule set. Otherwise, it just shows you the 2, and so I have to like remember it. And yeah, I'm always making mistakes. I'm just not perfect. But I'm trying to reset, my expectations for myself as a player, and the game kind of in light of that. I'm trying to look at now, usually I could get into, gold 1 and to the point where, my rating would be around like 2,800, or, that rating where you could move up into diamond within, 2 or 3 days of the season. We're almost a week into the season. I think I'm just cracking into gold 1, in both wild and modern. It's definitely been tough. It's definitely been a little bit more of a grind, but we as we were talking with you about this the other day, and we were talking about rewards, end of season rewards, joking around with them with Royal Eagle last week, and I on my main account I nailed that 2 gold foil dust blights, to that death legendary. And that was kind of invigorating. That was like, all right, that's kind of cool. That's what we play it for, right? You said it before too, right? We play for sometimes you play for the wins on a daily basis, but seeing those gold foil legendaries at the end of the season was fun. And I've been using that card a lot, and it's been fun trying to like learn to play with that card and work it in, and it's been really helpful in some rule sets. So yeah, I'm still enjoying playing ranked, but I feel everybody's frustration. It's tough out there. It's tough out there. It does seem like there's just a lot of bots, and yeah, a lot of people getting their team set within a couple seconds. Yeah, man. So I feel, yeah, I've been doing tournaments, I'm just doing brawls and ranked. So
yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting for, I think along with everybody else, anxiously awaiting for these economy moves to be said and done with, and for the team to start moving towards dev work on gameplay mechanics and just making tossing a good refresh at the way that we play the game. And it's going to be really interesting to see when we finally do get the no bots allowed in modern. Yeah, I wonder if things are going to become even more competitive and competitive from a bot standpoint via Battle Helper. You know, we've got Siler coming up here in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But that's definitely something I want to pick his brain about is overall Battle Helper usage, and you know, if he's kind of forecasted what his revenue is going to look like when we move into a world where Battle Helper is the only battle assistance available in Modern League. And yeah, but yeah, let's talk about a little bit of positive, man. That Skoke Duskblight, what a great card, man. I'm sitting with him at one BCX shy of level 3, where that Resurrect comes into play, but you know, he's still a force to be reckoned with the weapons training and Fury. But I'm really I don't play him nearly as much as I would like to, and I'm looking forward to that Resurrect. Is that what you've been kind of leaning on as far as abilities with him?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, being able to go from not having that card to being able to get it at level 3 with those 2 gold foils was awesome. The Resurrect is really helpful with death, especially playing it with Astral Entity. So now you can get 2 Resurrects in there. Playing it with your Riftwing. So I've been loving playing Astral Entity with Riftwing in the back as a sneak protect. Duskblight gives you, throws a magic on him. I've been playing it in Wild a lot, next to the cube.
Gross.
Typically, yeah, it's I know your favorite card, the cube. So that has been a lot of fun as well. And I also have that the Nightwind, the Zulok's Nightwind.
That's the Gladiator card, right?
Yeah, the Gladiator card gold foil. And I do gold foil battles, brawls, so it's going to be able to now, with him, with the void armor, it's going to be fun to be able to resurrect him. I don't have a gold foil Astral Entity that I play with, but it
might be time. Might be time. Yep.
Might be time. Let me see. I'm double checking prices. Prices keep coming down. Let's see. $74 BCX. It's we'll see. We'll see.
So would that be $150 for gold level?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, isn't crazy.
I gotta say, I am surprised, having watched the gold foil summoner market just absolutely plummet the last couple of months. As soon as Chaos went out, we saw those things jump to a base of 125 on the cheap end, and I think that was Quicks, but now Quicks is available for half that at 62 per BCX. But yeah, great call with the what is his name, Nightwind. That's what a beast to have behind Astral Entity and with those Resurrects. And yeah, it's a shame that Ancient Lich is one of my favorite death cards, and I finally took the plunge on getting a max copy. Oh gosh, a couple months ago, definitely before the market kind of settled at these new prices. I wish I would have waited, but yeah, having a couple of Resurrects, and shout out to Tails. He did a cool video kind of discussing this potential budding new meta within the Death Splinter. I think it's interesting that we've had a lot of guests on where there seems to be a couple layers of recurring themes, and one of them is I think we're all not so closeted Death Splinter fans. Yeah, so Tails did a really cool video on the number of Resurrects that you can now pull out with the Death Splinter, and yeah, the Dusk or Skoke Duskblight just adds one more angle to that. Deepen that play.
Yeah, man. I mean, can you imagine getting into the game right now? Sorry, I don't want to derail us, but I guess we're kind of just talking here. Can you imagine getting into the game right now if you're like, you know what, like I'll give this Splinterlands thing a try. Like if we didn't, do that, a year and a half to 2 years ago when a lot of us got in, like, oh, just let me jump in now and see. Man, like what could your deck, what could your deck be if you spent the same amount of money you spent back then on it now? It's definitely a great time to get in. With these card prices being so cheap. I mean, especially summoners. I mean, I never thought we'd see yeah, like you said, the gold foil summoners are now, some of them are probably as cheap as the regular summoners were even 6 months ago, or definitely a year ago with Tarza and General Sloan at least. Cindy and Thad are still a little up there, but yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, summoners around 50 cents a pop. It's for the Chaos Legion ones.
Well, looking at the market right now, man, there's a Max Kelia for under $100, which is,
wow.
Had you told me that a year ago, I would have told you I want some of what you're smoking, because that seems like a very far-fetched impossibility. I remember, I think it was last August when card prices took a really significant dip. It was before Rift Watchers had come out. And that's when I decided to start pulling the trigger on getting most of my Chaos Legion to diamond level and maxing everything out. And, I was sniping any and everything that I saw in Kelia for under $2. And I thought that was, at the time, that was a great deal. But here we are, damn near a year later, and that cost has been cut in half, So exactly what you're saying. It's a great time, given the price of cards on the market, to hop into the game and start exploring. But yeah.
How do you feel about it? Are you still looking to purchase cards you don't have? Or are you thinking of just picking up cheap commons and rares in bulk to kind of hope the price will go up in the future, and just kind of maybe get some more for your land? I know, gold foils, like we said, gold foils are getting cheap again. I mean, it was not too long ago when, the cheapest gold foil common was, like $25-$30. And, now they're back down to probably around $10-$12. Yeah, man, how have you been kind of treating this? Or you just kind of press pause and see where things are going? I know you're pretty happy with the deck you play with, but what about for an investment purposes, or for like picking stuff up to kind of upgrade your land purchases?
As far as the main account, B Jangles, I think I've largely pressed pause. I did get a pretty close to max Tortoise Fighter not too long ago. There's a couple of Untamed cards that I've kind of kept a pulse on, and if prices reach particular level, I'll definitely snipe on some of those. There's still so many Untamed cards that are very, very meta and arguably game breaking. So there's a handful of cards in the main deck I'd love to kind of add to the collection. But as far as making consistent and regular moves on the market, I have kind of shifted more into bolstering my alt account. I've, within the last, I'd say 3 or 4 brawl cycles, I tossed my alt account into one of the adjacent YGG brawler guilds. Shout out to Affelheim. So I'm able to make regular brawl appearances there, and just trying to minimize what I need to rent to play competitively there. And like you said, it's a great time to be going after those cards. So I'm rediscovering the fun that it is to kind of build out a deck and look at what's and it's a completely different meta in silver. I'm playing silver phrase. I'm playing in silver ranked. So trying to rediscover what is the silver meta, and acquiring the cards to shift the balance more into your favor that's an aspect of the game I miss. And I think it'll be fun rediscovering that at the higher levels when we get Rebellion and these mini sets, or this mini set that is kind of waiting in the wings for release. But yeah, that's an aspect of the game that I'd forgotten, and it's a lot of fun to kind of rediscover that at a different league, like going from Diamond Champ to Silver. So generally speaking, lands, I've got the DEC squared away for my plots. So I'm just kind of sitting on a mound of DEC waiting for that to come into play. And I'll be staking immediately, getting probably 80% of my land up and running as soon as it's available. I've got the monsters, I've got the cards ready to go. I've got shout out to Foyette. We brokered a little bit of a deal to allocate one of his Rooney to one of my higher end pieces of land. I'm going to be pulling my Rooney from land or from in game and putting him out to pasture. It breaks my heart to say I love my Rooney. I love playing Rooney in ranked, and oh man, I really wish that the team would reconsider having Rooney be one or the other. I wish that, it's a small enough volume to where I feel like a pretty substantial and significant case could be made. I'm looking at you, lawyer Hep, to to argue the case of Rooney to be playable in game while he's out to pasture. So generally speaking, that's kind of where my head is at. I'm just kind of playing the waiting game for the most part and tossing in, $5-10 every couple of weeks to see what kind of damage I could do on the silver front with my alt account. What about you? Are you making moves in a significant way with land or cards or DEC or SPS?
Yeah, so nothing significant because I think I'm trying to do everything. I'm pulled in a lot of directions still. I'm trying to get, DC for at least half my land plots together. I think I'm close to getting. So I have 13 plots. I want to be able to get at least 7. Well, I'm close to getting the DC for that. And then I got some totems because the common totems are pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's something we failed to mention. That's a decent kind of longer term view is totems. I have to imagine that's gonna be one of the first things to feel the release of 1.5 is the totem marketplace.
Yeah. I wish I could, I think the price will they'll jump up on those. I'm trying to buy. I have, I think, the cards for my land plots, but I'm still trying to get maybe some more of those gold foils. Put some more cards into my deck. Put some more cards into my gold foil brawl deck. Let's see, what did I buy? Oh, so I was trying to. I hadn't had a Yasik yet, so I got 3 BCX of that the other week. In a couple weeks, I'll probably get the other 3 BCX I need to get them up to gold level. I bought a gold foil Bakjira. I thought it was a pretty good price the other day to throw him into my brawl deck. Yeah, man, I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything, and then I'll, spend a couple bucks on just buying a bunch of really cheap cards and just seeing, well, hey, can I, some of those cards are at a penny. Can, we get them to 10 cents one day, 20 cents, 50 cents, maybe they'll be like the alphas and the betas and go up to $1, some of those common cards. So I don't know. I'm kind of just doing a little bit of everything and just kind of spreading it around. Yeah, just kind of spreading around and try to do, maybe some long-term stuff. Definitely always got my short-term, game in mind as well. I don't think I bought any cards really focused on my wild deck. And that's the thing about the Yasik. I'll get them. I don't even know if I'll even know how to use them or when I'll use them. Probably use them in, back to basic rule sets, which will actually be all the time because I think that's where one of the places he shines the most, and that seems to be one of the rule sets I get the most often. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it does feel, just to quickly interject, it does feel like when it rains back to basics, it pours back to basics. They come pouring in hot and heavy, man. I played to speak further on that point, I played 3 ranked battles while we were waiting to kickstart this episode, and 3 of them were consecutive back to basics rule sets.
That happens to me so much, man. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to take a 15-minute break at work today. Let me get 3-4 battles in, back to basics. It
just takes the fun. I hate, I mean, to be fair, I think the 3 rule sets has definitely livened up back to basics for me. If it's like back to basics with super sneak or back to basics with opportunity, it can be fun, but generally speaking, back to basics is such a waste of a match. But I do want to talk about, so you and I had gone back and forth about, I've got a max Elmo, and he was, a staple in my game back then. He's a staple in my game now. And there was a period of time where we were kind of considering a little bit of a swapsy, selling my Elmo to you. But I think, silence has proven that conversation is no longer progressing. I think Elmo's going to continue to be a mainstay. And, I think since that conversation, we've had the likes of Lily Shieldpaw come into play, and Elmo Bacteria make such fantastic tanks, front end tanks for the likes of Lily. Have you been keeping an eye on Elmo? He seems to be the only card that is recession proof. His price has not. I've been looking at getting an Elmo for my silver deck just because he is consistently so meta, but that price, it doesn't seem like it budges, maybe $1 or $2 outside of that $30 per BCX range. But I think the market sees the value in somebody like Elmo. Have you been continuing to keep an eye on everybody's favorite neutral card?
So, I would say he's not my favorite neutral card. I don't have one. I used to rent it a little bit. Do you have a Lily? I do have a Lily. Yeah, of course. Of course I got a Lily. Come on, bro. I like to play my Lily in rule sets where like the super sneak rule set, and then where I want to funnel it into like my Jinjwala or something like that. I like to play my Lily too with like taunts in the back row. And I don't see, I think one of the reasons why the price on Elmo is so high is I think it's really, 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 everybody must use it in Diamond and Champ, and it's probably the best there. And so there probably so many of them have been combined. It is still a great card in gold, but honestly, I don't remember the last time I went against someone in Gold League who played an Elmo or had an Elmo. Or
that's really surprising to me. That's really surprising to me.
It's been honestly, Jangles, I can't remember the last time. I never see it. I never see it.
Well, you got to book that trend, bro. Get Elmo on Squad Hepthorn. I feel like
I could.
He's already magic proof. He gets phase at level 2, and then his game gets up to level 3 with Return Fire, and then of course it's amplified further with Magic Reflect at the top levels. But he's such a monster with his speed. He's got 6 speed at gold, and he's already got phase. And I think with a handful of the legendary summoners from Chaos Legion, namely Lily, and with Immortalis,
right?
And Astral Entity, giving him dodge also. I feel like you're trying to justify not picking up Elmo yet, and you're putting the cart before the horse a little bit there. I feel like you got to give him a rental and see how he actually fares in gold these days.
There's I feel like a lot of, like you said before, a lot of those Untamed cards still hold their value. Like it's like almost like the Untamed cards are holding their value more than any other cards right now, probably because you can play them in both. And I've got my eye on him. There's like some ones I have that actually I have some like bids on peak monsters that actually like Dragon Jumper is a good example where at some point I'm not sure what my bid is, but a couple BCX went on that triggered some of my bids. Not enough to get me to a level 3, unfortunately, but it's like those I'm waiting for those Untamed. I'm waiting for Untamed to move into Wild and the price to drop, right? Like Elmo is, like at $28-30 now. You'd probably have to average about, 30 some or more to get, 6 of them to get a level 3. I feel like once word that Rebellion is going to come out, people are going to start dumping those cards. not dumping them, but like they'll still start selling them, you know. And I'm just waiting for the price of Untamed cards to come down before I start snagging up some of the ones that I don't have yet that I really want. And Dragon Jumper, I think, is one. Vigilator is another one.
I'm gonna butt in there. So
yeah,
Dragon Jumper, I used to see a whole lot of. I used to have a level 2, level 3. He wasn't max, but I used to have a decently leveled Dragon Jumper, and he's one that I very seldom bump into. And maybe that's, maybe we're speaking to the respective metas of gold and diamond there. But yeah, I very seldom come across Dragon Jumper these days. But I'm thinking if what you say is actually going to come to fruition with bots moving to wild, I feel like Elmo. Yeah, I wonder if he'll even become even more meta with everybody shifting into wild, and once Rebellion comes out, and thinking back, I think Elmo's pretty consistently hovered around that $30 per BCX price range for the last year, I want to say, because I started buying into Elmo around that price point, and he jumped up to maybe $40, and I saw him as low as maybe $22-23. Definitely within the last year. But yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to see a significant shift in the meta as bots are shifted from modern to wild, and the bots sort of rediscover what is the new meta in wilds, because I'm certain we'll be seeing more Chaos Legion, more Rift Watchers, more Untamed playing in wild than ever before when that proposal comes true.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been trying to kind of slowly acquire some of the older beta cards with the anticipation of that if the price, that some cards that I rent, if the price is going to get jacked up on those on the rentals, and there's just, I was looking at the numbers again today, and there's some cards, there's just not a lot of those cards on the market even right now when people are selling assets. There's not a lot of some cards on the rental market or for sale, and the bots moving in, and I think it's gonna maybe drive a lot of demand to those cards. So I'm a little more worried about that happening. I've been a little more worried with that happening with some of the older alpha and beta cards, as opposed to really being too concerned about it with Untamed, because I mean, right now we're not even sure when Rebellion's going to come out and move to Untamed in the wild. It's likely that we'll see that happen, maybe in the next 6 months to a year. I don't know. But yeah, I've been looking at that. So that's like, well, I picked up the Spirit Miner, picked up some Lord Aranthus. Want to pick up, let me see. Want to pick up some Prismatic. I wanted to buy some Prismatic Energy, and I was like, that's pretty reasonable price. This is like before like the third rule set thing came out, and with like the all magic rule set, where the price of that card was actually really, really reasonable. And I'm like, oh, that's cheap. I'll always be able to get that card. And then like the price just like tripled overnight, it seemed like. So yeah, I'm more concerned with some of those, like with that happening with some of those cards, and keeping the edge with those alpha and beta cards, as opposed to having like the Elmo or something. So
yeah, fair logic. I can't disagree with you there. Yeah, looking through, and this has got me licking my chops. Some of these prices: max Spirit Miner for $150. That's such a great card. Kraken is
I got my Spirit Miner for 105
for gold.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying max level? Sorry. Yeah.
So max. Gold is available for 73 at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, might be, speaking of cards to hold on for the long term, that's definitely one that seems to be always relevant. Yeah, he's got such a good kit of abilities with the blind, the dodge, and the swiftness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where if I'm hoping, I'm thinking that the player base is going to increase, and people are going to want to, even if it's not just the bots, like having other players come into the game and people wanting to play in wild and wanting to explore with some of these older cards. I mean, look at the liquidity on some of these cards in the markets right now. I mean, it's very low. So yeah, I mean, you know, as Aggie always says, when there's not enough and people have to push and shove, if when there's nothing to even push and shove for, what do values look like then? So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. You probably the smart money is probably like looking at like the Dr. Blights now, or even pretty low on the market. Those are cards that are going to be in modern for a while, and I don't know how anybody plays without one. So I certainly rarely do. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about what could happen to some of these cards if we can double or triple the player base even. Because you're going to have people who maybe people who bought now and then will want to sell, and that liquidity that'll increase. But maybe you got people like me who are like, well, I'm buying this for the deck I like to play with, and I'm probably not gonna. I'll sell it if it 100x's from where I bought it at, but otherwise, I might hold on to it just to play with it.
Yeah, Dr. Blight is a great call, man. He being a promo card, his total circulation is limited compared to a lot of the other more modern cards. It's about 1.5 times as rare as something like a legendary from Chaos Legion. And thinking back a year ago when I was really starting to push into, and I think I bought my first BCX of Dr. Blight probably 4 or 5 months after starting to play the game, and having gotten myself pantsed in the schoolyard by Dr. Blight one too many times, and saying enough is enough. I need to get this guy into my collection. I think the BCX was probably $80, $75, and here he is sitting at 38 per BCX. And yeah, it's impossible to imagine what could possibly remove him from relevance. Yeah, great call on Dr. Blight. Well, what are you? So we were talking a little bit off air about some of these big players, Schnapoon and Gene Pool and Vetv and Holazor. Some of these guys have been around for ages, and their names are somewhat synonymous with Splinterlands and competing at high levels, and they've been staples of the game for many moons. And Holazor, Schnapoon are both staples along the Splinterlands TV front. On within tournaments, I think Schnapoon has definitely made waves and made it a very strong and convincing name for himself over the years with competing at the highest levels. And he kind of cemented that legacy with a second place finish in both of the Splinterfest tournaments this past year. What's your kind of knee-jerk reaction to hearing names like this and knowing that moves out of the ecosystem are in their immediate future?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough to hear that people who are just great players who love playing the game, people who are able to kind of make a living or help to augment their living playing the game, just great positive stories and great players and amazing players and who seem like great members of the community. It's tough to see that they're stepping back or leaving. It's it's one thing when people hear maybe a big bot farm's leaving, or someone who maybe they were a big whale who's just treating it as more or of something that's like an investment or an asset. When people like that leave, when people who are in it just for the the monetary reasons, that way you hear they're leaving, you can kind of say, okay, that it stings to the extent it hurts the economy and the ecosystem, but will anybody really miss them? Does anybody really know them? But people who have posted such personal stuff on Peak D and talked about their feelings for the game and their feelings for the community, losing those guys I think is tough. I think those are the people we want to have in the community. We want to be able to interact with, and we want to be able to hold up to people who are looking to get into the game, or people who are just starting to get into the game. As these guys are kind of that positive light of the game, the pillars of sort of our community. And so yeah, to me, it's tough to read that stuff. It's hard, man. How about you? What were your feelings?
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines, just as purely as ambassadors for the game, for as advocates for what we're doing here at Splinterlands. It's really tough. I hope that, I think Schnapoon and Holizor have both kind of settled on the idea of, and this is speaking without knowing what the ultimate goal is with the moves that somebody like a Gene Pool or Vet V are making. But Schnapoon, I know specifically has removed himself from the position of Azurkon's scholar, so that account Azapoon will be reallocated to somebody else. I'm sure Azurkon will find somebody equally capable of well managing that particular account. But I know his personal account, he's planning on renting out and maintaining the assets. But as far as him himself continue to manage the account and play ranked, play tourneys, play brawls, I think he's put all of that stuff in the backseat, and hopefully it's a short term pain. But I think ultimately maybe the team needs to hear names like this being associated with moves like that in order to kind of create a little bit of a sense of urgency around the gameplay stuff. You see guys like Holizor specifically. I think he's been in the game since alpha days, like Dave McCoy, like Azurkon, purchasing cards with no immediate utility in sight, and he's stuck through a handful of potentially cataclysmic events within the Splinterlands ecosystem, and continue to uphold the mantle of strong and consistent and convicted ambassadorship for the game. And to see somebody like that decide that the game is at this point in time not for him, and he's willing to entertain offers for his collection, and having especially having waded through the muck of the arrival of land, and to get to this point where you're the end is in sight. You can see the light. We're on the precipice of lands being released into the ecosystem. To be willing to wash your hands of such a collection, and yeah, it's an eye opener. I think. I hope that the team takes it to heart that we're losing good folks that have been here through thick and thin, and hopefully all of that is a wash here in a few months' time, and you take absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? That's cliche for a reason. And maybe it's, I think we all fell in love with this game for the very same reasons. It's, strategic, it's fun. It's, the economic piece is a lot of fun. Building decks is a lot of fun, and there's a lot to like. And maybe it's just a matter of waiting for things like land to come out and shift what's happening in the ecosystem. Maybe it's a matter of waiting for new mechanics in the game to come out and provide a little bit of a reboot to the game that we fell in love playing. Maybe it's a matter of shifting metas that is surely going to be coming with something like Rebellion, when we presumably will introduce new cards, new abilities alongside those new mechanics. Hopefully that sort of stuff will slowly wrangle the guys like Schnapoon and Holizor back into the game. But yeah, I think bigger picture level, I was very disappointed to hear those guys willing to wash their hands of the game. As much as I've enjoyed taking a little bit of a reprieve from all things Splinterlands for the most part the last few weeks, thanks to Breath of the Wild. But I mean, their sentiment is not lost on me. But I'm nowhere near the point ready to wash my hands of the ecosystem, and I'm willing to ride the wave, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's That's good. That's what I was kind of saying earlier about trying to reset my expectations for what my wins are going to look like, what my end of season rewards are going to look like. I'm kind of giving up the hope of hitting the leaderboard, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I think what was my highest finish, like 12th or 14th. I was consistently getting within the top 20 in gold or top 30 within gold, getting into the mid 20s, pushing for those lower 20s. And yeah, now I'm not even ever getting close to that. And so for me, and I can see it, for me, it was tough for a few seasons. And I can see for someone with the skill level, those guys, like especially like Schnapoon, who's is always doing so phenomenal, and especially in all the tournaments and stuff. That must be a big sort of hit to what you like about the game, right? It's that adrenaline rush of playing at the end of the season, trying to jockey for a few positions with people, and knowing one loss will kind of send you tumbling back. It's I can only imagine how much more it affects him than it has been affecting me. But that's what I'm saying. I want to kind of reset and just kind of think about, all right, well here's where I'm at. How am I going to make the most of it? One question though for you, kind of in the lines, do you think that the team is sort of negatively impacted by the DAO and sort of maybe too beholden to the players, right? Because for so long, all we heard was, when are we going to have land? Why don't we have land? We need land. And so the team sort of seems like a few months ago, 6 months ago, even finally said, all right, we're going to really devote majority of our resources to giving you land, maybe not what we initially promised it to be, but in some, we're going to get there in phases and we're going to push towards this. And I think the team really wanted it too, right? Because I think I can see how down the road it is going to be very important to the ecosystem with having a place for, DEC to be staked and a sink for DEC, having a sink for cards makes a lot of sense. But it's like they've devoted so much to the land, and now that we're getting close to kind of getting part of it, and people are like, well, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that great anyway, so why haven't you guys done anything to make the game more fun recently? And so now it's kind of like everybody's getting on the team for devoting all these resources to land and not devoting more resources to the game. So it's like, it's kind of this back and forth with, well, you haven't delivered this fast enough, and now we want this new thing, and why didn't we get it yesterday? What are your feelings of that? Do you think it's maybe the team should just, and maybe they are doing what they think is best for the game and just focus on that? But it seems to me it's a tough position for them.
Well, I have to feel like, and this is as respectful as I can possibly say, I think the layoffs and that particular moment in time for the company was the best thing that could have happened for us as the Splinterlands ecosystem and its supporting stakeholders. We talked about it with Aggie, we talked about it with Azarcon, we talked about it with Dave McCoy, and it's kind of been a consistent thread that we've continued to tug on for the last 6-7 months. Is the life that has been breathed into the dev team and the shift into the new methodology that they're employing to roll out code into production and changing the game. It's changed everything. And I think because of that decision, the team had been forced, or they were forced to kind of go back to the drawing board and reprioritize what is going to most successfully bolster the long-term viability of the game. And land is a huge economic play, right? Like we're exactly what you're saying. It's a continuous sink of DEC. It's where a absolute metric ton of BCX of cards is going to live, and it's going to just completely change. We've talked about it before. It's going to change the rental market. It's going to change the buyer's market. And that wave may not happen overnight, but I can certainly see the appeal of that, and that's where land is going to be moving things. That said, we can't satisfy everybody. I remember very fondly when, Askell and I, we hopped on to claim and survey land. The hype was very real and prices were through the roof, and we started to see a subsequent rise in card prices, and DEC was really close to peg, and it seemed like the motor was humming, and things were moving in the right direction. And then the luster wore off, the greater macroeconomic situation kind of resettled in as, oh man, the bear is still here and thriving, and here we are. What's the next shiny new thing that the team, it's all about, what have you done for me lately? And even though Land 1.0 was released within the last 3 months, that's not lately enough, evidently. So I think all of this kind of plays to my current sentiment of just, let's maintain me as a player, maintain the status quo, and kind of wait and see what's to come. I think bigger and brighter things are certainly in the future. I'm happy waiting until the team feels like, I believe in Matt's vision. I believe in the pieces that he's putting in place to take us to the promised land of Praetoria in shiny yachts, if you will. And I'm happy to be patient over the course of the next couple of quarters while the team shores up the economic plays, while that foundation is laid for the next potential bull run, if and when it comes. I guess I shouldn't say if, when it comes. And then gameplay, we should start to see that stuff roll into development and roll into game before the end of the year. So I'm happy to play the patient guy and play the patient game and wait and see where it takes us. But I think generally the salt is going to live as long as people are seeing red in their asset values, right? I've almost entirely steered clear of looking at my collection value. I know it's in the dumps from where I bought it, and it's just discouraging to see that number. And I get the salt, but at the same time, it does nobody any favors. I'm going to flip that question back to you, Hep. What's your perspective on the DAO and the current and the future? Where's your head at?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We say so much that it's awesome that that's a game that the players get to have a say, a voice in what happens. But yeah, I think what you're saying made me think of this phrase I heard earlier. I think it was earlier today. That is, being patient isn't just waiting; it's like waiting with a good attitude, or like how you act while you're waiting for something to happen. And it's tough because I feel like we want them, to get rid of the bots. We want them to do land. We want them to update the new player experience. We want them to fix all this stuff. And, people are putting up proposals for these things. And I don't know. I feel like is it pulling the team in places they don't need to be focused on? I thought the bot proposal, I think while I think it's good, I think it is another thing on their plate where they should maybe be focused on other stuff right now. And so we'll see how much resources that eats up, chasing bots around, as we've talked with some of our friends offline. It's it's not going to be just like, oh, you implement one thing and then it's done, but the bots are going to evolve, and you kind of have to monitor it and keep evolving to try to keep fighting them off. So it's a good and a bad thing. I'm definitely, in the same boat as you, with just want to be patient, and I think they're headed in the right direction. I am a little concerned with what's going to be, even if we do get into a bull run, what's going to be the catalyst that really puts eyes on the game. With the last bull run kind of coincided with them, and we heard this from, I believe it was, Dave, said that, introducing SBS was a real big kicker for them. It was, a way to really detract people to the game, drive eyes on the game. And
DEC was 15x to peg.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, right? Because of the airdrop, right? Because like the easiest way to get airdrop points was to hold on to your DEC. And so, people were buying up DEC, and, when SBS is at $1, and, even, the DEC you buy could give you, you could buy, $100 in DEC, and that would give you, a couple bucks in SBS airdrops a day. So I just worry, what's going to be that catalyst? Like, is the flywheel going to kick in? Is SBS price going to go up? Is that going to be what attracts people? Um, is the game play enough where it's at right now, or is it gonna be better by then? I feel like it's gonna need something, one, it's not just gonna be, oh, we're in a bull run, everything's gonna be all, great and fabulous again. There are other games out there, now. What is gonna be that catalyst that's really gonna drive people to the game? And um yeah, I mean, hopefully the land thing will work. I mean, I don't know. If it is land, are we just going to be using grain? And what are the returns on land going to be like? Is it gonna attract people? Is it, will the flywheel kick off and start to drive the price of SBS? And, maybe it goes up more if people are buying it just to speculate. I don't know. Not my concern is that, though. It's not just trudging through to get to the bull market. It's when that hits, are we going to be in a position to have something that drives and attracts people?
I want to focus on, you mentioned a couple of things there. I want to focus on one piece. You suggest that you feel a little bit like the team is being pulled in too many directions, and are kind of at the mercy of the proposal system. So, the decentralized system of the game is something that I think attracts a lot of folks to what we're doing here, and us being community members, being able to put forth a proposal that generates the eyes and the traction, and eventually rubber to the road in terms of the direction of things that the team is pursuing. Do you feel like the DAO has kind of been overreaching with our proposals? Are we reaching outside of the scope of what you think our proposals should be setting out to accomplish? And if so, do you feel like we need to kind of reset expectations in terms of, what are the types of proposals we should be going after? One that immediately comes to mind is the Ruse thing. While I love Ruse, it's a great card. And I wonder, is that any of the DAO's business? What, creating a card that's it was essentially created, not essentially, it was in fact created to reward SPS holders, SPS stakers, and that doesn't necessarily feel like it's within the scope of what the DAO was designed for, and what the proposal system is designed for. So do you feel like, is that your feeling? And do you think we need a hard reset on what kind of proposal we should be putting forth through the DAO?
Yeah, I think that's a great example. I thought that was, I thought it was a cool proposal, and because I was kind of like, let's see the DAO, let's see if they can kind of flex its muscles a little bit like that. And it was interesting. It was cool that the team accepted it and did it. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. I think more of my comments and my thoughts are that it has that potential to get there, to kind of push the team in the wrong directions, or to push them sort of beyond what their resources are. I guess, I think the proposals we've had so far, the ones that are passed and the teams have, looking to implement it, have been fairly reasonable. I'm just concerned that maybe it's the team's capacity. It's still exceeding the team's capacity to handle those and kind of make the changes and the updates to the game they need to make. And, maybe that's just we need to, maybe when we get, asset values go up and the team can add more people and they can add to the capacity. But then is that just going to embolden people to put forth more proposals and to try to do more things? It's tough. It's, there's organizations have leadership for a reason. And it's because often, doing things by committee isn't always the best way to do them. So, my fear is that, what happens when things start to get kind of pulled apart, or the community really wants to do something that the team really doesn't think is a good idea. and what tension does that create? It's just kind of the thing you see with the normal issues with DAOs in general. Is it what happens when a bunch of people are maybe you get people who concentrate, especially with SBS being low. It's people are going to what if people concentrate enough power with SBS to be able to drive 4 or 5 people are now driving the direction of the game. Then the sort of the community as a whole. I mean, we haven't seen these things yet, right? But these are things that we could potentially see. So those are my concerns. Not so much that the things we're doing right now are really bad, but sort of where it could lead and where we could get down the road with it.
Yeah, and just to kind of shed some additional light on my example there, I don't think it was a bad proposal. I think Brews was cool for the game. It definitely encouraged SPS staking. And in that was a proposal put forth by Gene Pool, and in his defense, he had the pre-approval from Nate and the dev team to put forth said proposal, expecting that it would be approved. So it's just an exercise in thought if we feel like the DAO is kind of overreaching its scope. And I feel like if we ever come to that, there's a couple of easy fixes. Maybe we up the ante in terms of DEC that's required to be burned, and then we really trim the fat off of the proposal system, and only those proposals that are have a lot of meat on the bones get pushed forth to the stage of official decentralized democracy there. Yeah, good stuff, man. Is there anything else kind of burning a hole in your pocket that you want to toss on the table to pass around for a little bit, or?
I don't. Let me ask you. Let's see. What do you think is the? Take a look at the market. What do you think is the best card from a gameplay perspective, not investment, not financial advice perspective? Look at all the cards under. Let's see. Let's get a good number here. There's a lot of cards under 5 cents. What do you think's the best card that's under 5 cents or under on the market right now?
5 cents or under. Wow, I've got to scroll a few pages to get to that 5 cent mark. Okay, Modern Wilds, all of the above.
All of them. Yeah. What do you think?
Let's see, under 5 cents.
Under that might be too much, but I don't know.
So I'm gonna look at the per BCX cost to answer that question. So it's almost entirely Chaos Legion. There's a handful of Untamed cards.
There's a few Untamed cards in there.
I think at a single BCX level, you can't go wrong with, I'm going to say, the Crystal Smith. The Venari Crystal Smith. Immediate impact, 1 BCX, you're going to heal your tank. Yeah, I think that's probably got the greatest immediate value for me at the single BCX level. Yeah, this is a fun exercise. I like this. What's your what's your pick under 5 cents across the board, and then we'll shift the variable there.
We shifted there. Okay. Man, there are a lot of good ones. I'm trying to think. Which of these cards do I play the most? Soul Stranglers at 6 cents. I mean, I probably play the Flying Squid the most, right? Of all these cards here, the Flying Squid or the Venari Bonesmith. Actually, I don't know. Maybe give me the Riftwing. That's such a good card. I'm gonna go Riftwing.
Okay. Yeah,
I love me some Scavenge. I love anything under 4 mana. The Venari Crystal Smith, I get it. Great card if you're a life person.
If you're a life person. Okay, new variable here, Hep. Okay, Legendary is under $5. Pick one.
Oh wow, there's a lot now. Okay, I think. Oh wow! All right, this is hard. This is
Bagheera
hard.
sits just outside of that, so you're not
Yeah,
allowed
so
to
it
choose
can't be
your.
that. You've
Yeah.
got the Carnage Titan. You've even got the Chaos Dragon under $5 right now, which is hard to pass up that card. I'm going to go with what I also would say is maybe the most underrated card
Okay, let me
on this list.
clarify the intentions here. So
Okay.
one BCX, what is the greatest impact for one
Oh,
BCX
for
in your
one
mind?
BCX.
Yeah, for one BCX, which legendary card do you feel like brings the most bang for its buck?
Um, okay, I think my answer is not going to change. Oh yeah, because Chaos Dragon doesn't have yet. It's got to be Carnage Titan then. Actually, my answer is going to change. For what one BCX, the strongest one BCX card under $5 right now, I think is Carnage Titan.
Oh, yeah,
The
I
double strike
expected you to
reach.
shift it.
Yeah, I wanted to say Alvar because I think with his health and shield at one BCX and void armor is it's a really great card. I've been playing that card a lot more recently. Especially with like all the resurrects you're getting now and with the rebirth rule sets. Been playing that Alvar a lot more. I think that's only at 250, so that's like half the value. So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, it's interesting that you had offense in mind with your selection there, choosing the Carnage Titan. I had purely defense in mind and pure utility. I've talked about this guy a lot. I think when the previous batch of reward cards were introduced, I kind of pegged this guy as my favorite and most prospective, most played, and I think it's probably true of that batch of cards. Kinjo, Vinitzer Kenjo. I think
Yeah,
at
you
one
do love that
BCX,
card.
I love that card. He is always in my lineup. 2 mana, you can't beat it. And I think at the silver level, he's one of only maybe 2 or 3 cards that has Reflection Shield. So I feel like it's just such a great little placeholder. The camo is nice. He can't be picked off unless you're facing a Scattershot rule set or Yasik. But yeah, he's a game changer for a lot of reasons. And yeah, I think just a 2 mana card, you can't beat it. It's neutral, fits almost every rule set. I'm gonna go with Kinjo.
Nice. That's awesome. All right, let's do one more each.
Okay, Summoner.
Oh, you want to do a summoner question?
Go ahead. You
No, I
do
want to
your
do.
question.
You can do. I'll do. I want to do Chaos Legion rewards cards.
Chaos Legion rewards cards.
What are you thinking? What's kind of the best bang for
Kinjo excluded.
Yeah, well, you already used him. You could use him again if you want to be. Let's say at max level. Let's do a max level question.
Max level question. Okay.
Yeah. Because they're all pretty cheap right now. So max level, what do you think?
So I've got 2 that immediately come to mind that I probably see and play more than anything else. 3 come to mind, actually. Jin Renova, I think, has become such a boss at max level with that triage is so great. And especially with the I think her value comes with the supporting cast when you can toss somebody like an Iziar out there or in a melee from anywhere, you put the taunt in the back and just continue to replenish that health with somebody like an Adelaide Brightwing to support the armor front and behind somebody like a Grandmaster Wraith to continue to give that void armor. But on its own, I would have to say either Uraeus or the Murdampier. Murdampier is such a beast. That life leech is so good. Cripple is I still think it's a slept on ability. I think when you're facing off against like a Bagheera tank, the
Yeah.
Murdamp here is very often the difference maker. It takes a handful of rounds to get that Bagheera HP pool below double digits, but once that happens, it's quick to see the downing of the whale. And I think the Murdamp here makes a significant impact. And Uraeus, his speed, his armor, the sneak and the poison, he could just single-handedly wreck an opponent, change the game. So I'm going to say Uraeus. It's a toss-up for me between Uraeus and the Murdamp here.
Yeah, when we first talked about this reward card set and the Murdamp here, I didn't love it, and I was like, I don't think that's a card I'm gonna use that much. But I do now. I've started to use it more and more. Yeah, like you said, with the life leech, with the cripple, I think it is great when you think you're gonna get in, like you said, into like a very defensive match. I didn't appreciate, I think, at the time that the combination of the life leech and the cripple would mean you would get to leech life even through the shield. And, where you have sort of that equal health rule set, where you have little league rule sets, I think that's a great card. I think that's a great answer. I'm gonna stay with water, but go with the Tide Biter. I think just that 3 mana with the reach, with the reflection shield, and him getting 2 strike, and just having that 3 melee, 4 speed. He's got a decent amount of health. I just think that's just such a solid card. End up playing it in a lot of rule sets. But a lot of times when you think you're going to get someone with blast, someone playing either in a blast rule set, it's just, I think it's a great card. I really like it. So yeah, that's my answer. But I think the Murdamp here is also a great answer.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with the Tide Biter. I think the combination of reflection shield plus the true strike. If you're hopping into an enraged rule set, Murdamp here is a staple of mine. You'll often see somebody like an Elmo or a Jin O'Shanis or somebody who just goes absolutely apey with speed and becomes almost untouchable, but that's negated entirely with the true strike. Okay, so what about your favorite sleeper modern summoner? So chaos set summoner. So chaos, okay. Rift Watchers. We all know Kelia and Lux Vega. I think we should just exclude those as options from the get-go. Everybody else, I think, is probably fair game. Is there one that you've kind of found yourself really enjoying, picking apart a new meta with, or is there one that you feel like it doesn't get the appropriate attention or love that they should? Now let's say at your respective league. So we'll talk gold, diamond.
I mean, I'm not going to say Dallin. We all know I'm not going to say Dallin by now. We should all know that by now. Vispa, man, I'm going to say I think I've talked about it a little bit before, really enjoying that card. It's something you kind of don't really see coming. I don't see it played a lot. It can, in certain rule sets, it can really give you a good edge. I mean, been playing it in back to basics rule sets where, people are often kind of trying to go load up on some magic to not worry about shield. And I find just being able to get like 1 or 2 misses in that back to basics rule sets can be what decides it for you. And it's a fun card. It's a fun card to play with some stuff that gets enraged. And so now you got melee monsters that have a good amount of shield, they're enraged, and you're just going to town on people and they can't get you. So yeah, I'm gonna go Thispa, and that phase ability is fun to play around with.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think we talked about that as one of my favorite kind of sneaky summoner plays. Like you said, nobody expects this, but I almost if I ever see her played, it's when she's at the helm of my squad. I almost never face off against an opponent playing this, but yeah, I feel like phase magic is just a devastating attack type, right? It's tough to work around when you've got a big fat magic team in your face, and Thispa is a really sneaky play to navigate around that. And yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think she should probably be up there with Ilthane, or maybe not that high, but definitely above Skargor and Fernheart in terms of per BCX cost. But to credit the team and to kind of round out this little thought exercise of picking our favorites, and really to hone in on your super salty continuous comments on my boy Dallin. I fully expect that we will see a supporting cast come out in future sets, whether it's Rebellion or Soulbound cards, or the next iteration of Gladiator cards, or the upcoming mini set. I feel like we will see supporting cast members be delivered from the team that overnight changes the value of somebody like a Dallin. Maybe it's a new ability.
Get your Dallins now. You heard it here first. Look at it. Max copies for $40 on the market. Go get your Dallins, people.
That's just crazy to me. Yeah. I mean, yeah, let's just think about that for a second. That's summoners nuts. For $40. That's just crazy.
I might even have to get one if that price is still that cheap when I'm looking to buy some more cards in a week or so. I might have to. Yeah.
Well, I think until we get those new cards to shake up the meta with new abilities and bring some value to Dallin, and to kind of circle back to our conversation about DAO proposals, we've got the most recent proposal has just made it into the game. It's up for current vote. If you haven't voted, go check out the proposal. Rift Watchers is back on the docket for DEC. And if that I've heard a lot of the feedback, the criticism of this proposal, that it's going to devalue Rift Watchers, it's going to bring the price down. Rift Watchers have held their value more than most cards on the market up to this point, and the expectation is once DEC becomes available as a currency for purchase, we're going to see the prices reflect that. Let's round it out. Hep. What's your take on the proposal? Are you going to be approving? Are you going to be disproving? What's your thought there?
Yeah, so I actually voted on this earlier today. I voted yes. When this was up for a proposal for the first time, I voted no. And yeah, like you said, that you wanted Rift Watchers to kind of keep their value a little bit more. Thought that the whole point of that set was to drive some utility to SBS and keep the price of SBS up. But we just haven't seen the demand for it with that, and it certainly hasn't really done anything to help SBS. And the team thinks that, or especially Matt thinks that it's important to have everything priced in DC and to have as much priced in DC as possible to keep DC to peg. And I have better understood that principle as time has gone on, and agree with that. And so I've kind of changed my mind on that, and I'm voting yes for that proposal. And to me, it's the price of the cards will go down, I'm sure. And that's fine. I think some of those cards are it's a small set. It's a very limited set. Actually, a lot of the cards that I know I kind of want, I have already, and I was able to get a lot in packs. I've been buying some Rift Watchers packs actually with just even on the secondary market, because the prices have been very reasonable. And so that's another thing. I was talking earlier about how I've just been kind of buying a little bit of everything. And yeah, that's another thing I've actually been buying. I've been buying a little bit of Rift Watcher packs. So I don't know. Maybe I've got a couple of gold foil legendary Rift Watchers that I pulled out of packs when I first bought during the pre-sale. So maybe I'll look to move those, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'll hold on. Like I got a gold foil Coral Lurker. It's a nice card. I don't know. Maybe that gets cheaper. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll sell and hope to buy back cheaper, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'll risk it. I like
that's a tough game to play. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, when is the last time that you bought a Rift Watcher pack from the in-game shop?
In-game shop. I was at some point buying them with SPS I was getting from airdrops, and I've got vouchers, and so I was saying every once in a while I said, you know what, I'll snag a pack here and there. But once the price I think was under like 2.5 cents, I stopped doing that because it just seemed like way too much SPS to spend.
It's almost 300 SPS for a pack at the moment.
Yeah, so like when it was less than, when it was like 150 or so, like I would do it. But now I'm just kind of restaking that or putting that into the liquidity pools, the stuff that I'm getting for the airdrops from not airdrops, from the staking rewards. So yeah. How about you? Have you bought any recently? But yeah, they're cheap on the secondary markets. I've been, because I put a little bit of money in on the credit card with credits, twice a month, every couple of weeks. And so I just will snag 3-4 packs at a time and, see. I might have some sitting in my, do I have any sitting in my right now? I try to open them up slowly. I got 2 packs. You want to open one up and see what we get?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let me give you there you go. You got to share your screen, Hep. Let's get some episode live. Good luck here for you. But yeah, while you're doing that, to answer your question, I haven't purchased. I think the most I ever spent was maybe 160, 170 SPS on an in-game pack, and I just wanted to get my pack purchase number to a nice round 50 packs. And I think what a lot of folks have just kind of, it's certainly slipped my mind. We still have 3 airdrops coming from Rift Watchers, water being next, and then fire, and then rounding it out with neutral. So yeah. All right. Here we go.
I did a group buy with the guild. Shout out to Days and Phoenix Arcade. So I kind of got all my airdrops and stuff are kind of like tied up with that. So to me, buying I have like a 3 or 4 packs I bought in game, but let's see. All right. Suda Shaman.
Sleeper. Ooh. Arachne Thug. That's one of my favorites.
Junker's a great card.
Junker is a great
Pixie.
Card. Wow, this is
Queen of Crows. That's a solid, honestly.
That's a great pack.
Rares. Queen of Crows is, I think maybe my favorite card out of this pack. I really like Bramble Pixie a lot too. I play Bramble Pixie behind the Pelacor Mercenary a lot. So you've got like those 2 heals in a row. And then especially with Immortalis, and they got some protection from magic. I think that's a fun little play. So all right.
Yeah, that's a really solid pack. Arachne Thug is up there with the tippy top of valuable commons, or at least it historically has been. And Queen of Crows is, I think, at the tip top. Let's get a legendary. Nice. Oh man,
Vampire. That's a great card. I need more of that. Another Queen of Crows.
Bingo. Time Meddler. I've been playing that guy a lot.
Nice.
Epic Summoner. It's a sign. It's a sign. Fill it out, Hep. Take it to the bank, bro.
Oh, of course we pulled it down there. Oh, what fun.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I feel like the Rift Watcher set was really nicely designed. I feel like there can be a case for every single card made, as there's okay. Let me back that up. There's probably one per splinter that I never see. But I think all the neutrals, all the dragon cards receive very consistent play from me. Life, the legendary is poo poo. Death, Dallin. I'm going to have to give him the nod as being at least at present irrelevant. Earth, the Lycan Beast, I never ever see. Water, the refugee is one that I never see. Aquatis is one that I never see, and then fire. I really wanted to like the septic slime, and I do on occasion play it. Yeah, but it's one that I just you never come across it. But yeah, for the most part, I think Riftwatchers, every card is really meta relevant.
So for those the water and the Earth card you mentioned, I don't know, do you not play them in silver? Because I would like looking at the rental market for those cards, like those are like highly valuable cards, or at least were when there actually was a rental market in silver. I remember looking at when I was like moving stuff around to rental account and stuff and combining stuff. I remember that those seem to be played in silver, and like would make sense too, because getting that in rage right away would seem like it would be a good play in bronze and silver and the void armor for that water card. So yeah, I don't know if you see that played in silver since you've been playing around with that in your alt account.
Not really, but now that you mentioned that, I'll definitely have that in mind. I tend to, most of the ranked play that I play manually at this point, it comes on my alt account, and it's just really fun to try and identify what is the meta. I get my butt handed to me anytime I play a silver tournament. Some of those guys are just way too good, way too familiar with the meta, and I'm just not at that level. So it's a lot of fun to go back and like I said, rediscovering deck building. It's just as much fun to rediscover the silver meta. And I can't immediately recall a battle where I've come across either of those two guys, but yeah, maybe I'll try and work them into my gameplay. I think something that I haven't tried, and to kind of piggyback on what we were saying earlier, the power of Thisba and Phase. The Lycan Beast is a great front runner tank for somebody like a Lycan Beast in rage, and zoom right out of harm's way from magic with Phase. But yeah, man, I think generally speaking, I'm excited for impending airdrops. Hopefully, if this proposal passes, we see some DEC getting sucked into the DAO through card purchases. And yeah, I was just looking at the total number. We passed, gosh, man, Redwood, Ancient Redwood was the last airdrop, and it feels like that was released into the game many moons ago. I couldn't even tell you when. I don't even venture to guess ballpark when we crossed that million pack threshold. But yeah, I'm excited to see a couple new cards into the mix. I think Oshur and Kane Hayes and Redwood. Oshur is the clear winner thus far as relevant across leagues, across metas. But I think
I bought a ton of. I mean, the reason I bought so many packs in the pre-sale was pretty much just to get that card. Phenomenal card. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, playing every day, I can't remember the last day I went without playing her since I had her.
How about Kane Hayes or Redwood? Do you play either of them? Do you own either of them?
I have what was my BC? I think I have a one. I think with the way the airdrop worked out, we got one or two Canes BCX, and I think same with Redwood. And so I don't play Kane really ever. I have one BCX of him, so I don't play him. I have looked to buy more and just haven't. With the combination of his low life and his high mana cost, it just never seems worth it to me. Even to get, have the reflection shield in there. I just don't see it working in any lineups that I use. Especially now that I have that Dustblade. He's kind of taking up that 8 mana magic spot in the back row there. The redwood I've used a little bit if I've had to. If you get a reverse speed rule set or an all range rule set. Again, yeah, just so much mana. That's one of those cards where at max level with the piercing, phenomenal card, right? I think a phenomenal card, 6 range, fury, reflection shield, true strike, piercing. That's just a phenomenal card. But if with the fury, if I'm going to be countering a fury, you're countering a taunt monster, I'm probably not going to be using earth. I'm probably going to be using water now mostly. So yeah, I just don't. I the one BCX of the redwood. I'll get to the point where maybe if the prices come down. That's another thing is like I'm kind of been anticipating that at some point the prices of those cards will come down, and I'll look to get some of those, and maybe I'll play around with them a little bit more. But Runemancer Kai is my go-to with if I need a fury, especially now that I have what is the soulbound card with the shatter for water. The name is escaping
Musa.
Yeah, Musa. Yeah. So combining those two and the swamp spitter, now that we have the swamp spitter with it, now that water finally has a giant killer. Musa that I guess I could have gotten an ice pixie because that does have shatter at level 5. But I feel like that card's a little expensive. Maybe that card's gotten cheaper now. You know what? Now that card's reasonably priced. Maybe I'll get one of those too. But yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of going to water if I'm sorry. I'm trying to go into water if I'm countering a taunt as opposed to earth. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking with those cards.
Well, I don't know if I can make a strong case for Kane Hayes, but the redwood I feel is a major sleeper. He is, and I actually appreciate that he's slow, and he's great in reverse speed. I think he's better in regular speed matches. He's the ultimate cleanup crew. He doesn't miss. He's got a really solid chance. Assuming there is a taunt, I think he's got a better chance because he's firing last to snipe somebody out of the water. Agor, loses a couple of shield and maybe a little bit of HP through the rest of your team, and then he's got the chance to come in and take 12 damage off the table in one fell swoop. And yeah, anytime I play redwood, I feel like he walks away from the match with the biggest head count of kills on his pine trees that he's hooking. But yeah, cool. Nice. All right, man. Well, anything we kind of want to wrap up with here, Hep? Is there any parting words of wisdom for the people? Stay patient, steady your loins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll see where it goes. Reset your expectations. That's kind of let's do that every season. It has led me to a healthier experience with the game. And it sounds like that's what you're doing too, with trying to explore with doing the alt account and bringing it up through silver. And I've thought about doing that too. I think that's kind of cool that you're doing that. I'd love to hear more about that.
That's fun, man. It's fun.
With the card prices so cheap, get an alt account and start in bronze and work your way up again and see where you can get.
Yeah. It's been a fun exercise, man. And like you said, there's no better time to do it. It's cheap. You toss, $5-10 a month in, and that makes it a very significant difference at the bronze and silver level. So right. Yeah,
you can get some silver level summoners for $5 these days. So
very true. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in. We will speak to you guys this time next week. And you have been listening to
The People's Guild.